Hey everybody, welcome back to Top Ends with Twins. We have another really special episode this week with our friend Kyle where we're going to talk about wildcards and then some standout FPL performers. Hey everybody, welcome back to another special episode of Top Ends with Twins. We're heading into Gameweek 3 and we have our resident friend Kyle back on the podcast. Our Man City fan, Kyle. Welcome back, my man.
Thanks guys for having me. Happy to be here. Excited for a full year of FPL ahead of us. So excited to be here for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Luke, how are things going for you?
Oh, good. FPL wise, very good. Actually, I've been doing pretty good. I'm happy with how my season started. Mm-hmm. My leg's working better now. So we're making progress, which is good. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm doing okay. I would be happier if I was sitting at the top of our mini league, but that goes to the other twin on this podcast, and I'm not saying Kyle. I'm saying Luke. So, At the same time, though, I am happy for you, Luke, because I feel like you've had horrendous starts to FPL over the past 3 years. So I think this comes at a time where, I mean, a win does go a long way, you know?
It does. So I'm happy to be sitting at the top of the mini league, but I am fully aware that can change really fast. So until game week 38, it does not really matter, unfortunately. But Kyle, tell us, how has your season started out so far?
It's been okay. Started out really well in game week 1, where a lot of people struggled. And then I also struggled in game week 2. So kind of a mixed bag. Team kind of got saved by that Palmer auto sub. So I got the double Burnley defense last week. So kind of worked out a little bit for me, but overall, semi-happy with my team. Wish I would have gone a few different ways, but that's FPL and not much you can do about it at this point, and kind of not really regretting it too much, but we'll see how the next few game weeks go.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah. It's really hard, I think, in FPL, especially whenever you have only a limited amount of information about what players are only even going to be playing, who's going to be rotated, who is out of form because of various different factors. I mean, we have some surprise injuries that have already popped up. I mean, I have 4 flags currently in my team, so we're so back, baby.
We are cooking.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Not really.
No. Paul, how has your season started off? If you want to tell the listeners a little bit more.
So I had a really good first week. If you look at, sorry, I'm still getting used to the new FPL app. Very first week of the season, I had 73 points. Had me sitting at 631K. Obviously, in the beginning, rank, it fluctuates so much. What I'm going to tell you just correlates exactly to that. I mean, I had a bad week last week on 34 points. It gave me a game week rank of 9.6 million. So I go from 631K to 9.6 million, which puts me at 4.06 million essentially. So just say that to say I'm still sitting second in our mini league. Everything is still to play. We're going into match week 3.
I hate to tell you, Paul, you're not sitting second in our mini league.
Oh, wait, shit, no, I'm not. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we need drastic measures to be taken. I'm actually now currently wildcarding. We were going to talk about wildcards, but I just activated the wildcard button, and things are progressing really quickly.
This is actually a podcast for Paul to just talk through his wildcard with us. So stay tuned for his team next week.
Who's ready for my descent into madness?
Well, it's like we've had a lot of listeners ask about wildcard teams. Really think we should go through your best ideas.
Everybody,
We gotta give the people what they want.
Send me your best wildcard team right now. Well,
and if it's not good enough, I will request another one.
Well, that's really funny that I thought I was in second place and I'm actually in fifth. Like,
things change really quickly.
Santi's beating me. Oh my god!
And he took out Timber this week.
Yeah, imagine if he kept Timber in.
If he had Timber, he would have been on like what? Like
he'd be at the top of the mini league right now. But Santi, one of our friends who's in one of our mini leagues we're in, he decided to take Timber out this week before Arsenal played Leeds at home and missed the 24-point haul from Timber. So, only the second highest return ever from a defender. And he took him out the week before. So,
and for the listeners out there, the irony of that, everyone, is Santi's team name is I'm Yelling Timber. So just really tough look for him there.
Hey, at least he's changing his team now.
He's wasting both of his free transfers in the first 2 game weeks or to bring Timber out and then to bring him back in.
Oh my gosh. Well,
imagine if Timber goes into week 3 and returns 30 points or something like that. That would be for him to do it 2 weeks in a row, although he'll probably be benched in game week 3. But that would be pretty crazy if he even got a bigger haul the next week. That would be very un-FPL-like.
Hey, I would if we get 2 goals out of Timber at Anfield, who knows? Maybe I'll be shocked. I'm not making any big declarations on this podcast about like shaving my head or anything like that. But that's good. That's not happening, by the way.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Okay. So I'll quickly say how my team did this week.
Oh yeah. Sorry. We've got to ask Luke, Mr. Top of the League.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm happy to share. So it's all right. So I ended up on 56 points. I captained Gyökeres for his very fortunate brace. Although he was good. He was very good throughout the match. It was a good fixture for Arsenal. But got 24 points from him. And then I had Bruno Fernandes in my team. And Kyle, I think you feel the pain on this as well. With him missing that penalty, that makes us miss out on another 10 points in our teams. And then other big noteworthy thing is I had double force defense for their, once again, not a clean sheet. So frustrating, but kind of like Kyle was saying earlier, I'm okay with where my team's at. There's some slight things I would change if I could go back to game week 1. But all in all, I'm okay with where my team's at. Pretty happy with it. So
yeah. And just hypothetically for the listeners, if you had Saka, Palmer, Nori, and a Wolves defender that wasn't playing, hypothetically, just in the comments, what would you do? just hypothetically. For a friend of the pod.
I hate Paul and I were talking about this the other day, just casually. And he's like, what would you do with my team? And I was like, I know I'm about to give him good advice and I don't want to do it, but I was like, I would probably just free hit for the week. And you were thinking about it, but I think you're leaning more towards wildcarding now. Is that correct, Paul? You're just going to leave your team as this?
I think I'm just going to try to tank FPL in the beginning. That way I just don't have the hope, The
hope that kills you.
I'm just kidding. This is an FPL podcast. I would never do that. Probably just make a couple transfers. But that probably is a good segue into... So let's just say hypothetically, we're just looking at FPL teams here in general. We're not really talking about my team anymore, though. How extreme or cautious do you think you all should be playing? Are the managers we have listening? How cautious or like risky should they be playing at this point in the season, in your all's opinions?
I think it kind of depends. For me, it's just kind of like a really weird year. First year with all of the double chips and then also the additional 5 free transfers for AFCON. So I don't think there's necessarily a template like there always has been, because there's going to be a triple captain the first half of the year where there won't be a double game week. So you kind of have a chance to get it right twice, once at the beginning and once at the end of the year. So I would say probably just with the international break coming up after game week 3, semi-cautious. But it's really weird considering you have, 4 chips to play within 19 game weeks. So you kind of don't want to sit on stuff as long as you typically have, because just a reminder, you can't play 2 chips at the same time. So you can't wild card and then triple captain in the same game week. So I would just say be a little cautious to start. But I think with all the additional free transfers with AFCON, you get an additional free hit, you get an additional wild card. I think you're able to be a little risky if you really wanted to. But with the international break and not really knowing how severe the injuries are to, well, we've got news on Saka, but like you don't really know with Ait-Nouri yet. Palmer is still kind of in and out. Don't know how long he'll be out. So some of these big name players, just wait for the information to come through and see what happens.
Yeah, I think those are all really good points, Kyle, because we're kind of filling out what the game is like now with the difference in chips. And we're throwing in DEF CON on top of that, throwing in being able to have, they're giving us those 4 free transfers for AFCON, and that comes around in game week 15 or 16. I can't remember which one out of the 2. So there's a lot of things that I think we have to reevaluate at this point in FPL. My biggest thing here is with the extra chips we have from that we can use in the first half of the season. I think it pays to be a little more aggressive this year in the way that you want to be aggressive, but very
pragmatic.
You want to have a plan. You want to plan to be aggressive is how I think is the best way to look at it. Because, for example, Paul, with your team, if you're not happy with it, I would say wild card whenever, if you feel like you need to, and you can build a team that you think is a big improvement. Don't wild card this week. Wild card going into game week 4, because I think a lot of people are going to get trapped. A lot of people are wild carding this week. They're going to wild card now, and then we're going to have an international break right after that. Mm-hmm. So imagine the injuries people are going to pick up, and then maybe they wild card game week 2 into 3, and then have to free hit in 4 because they can't field a full team, right? So, and then you're in a bad situation. That's why you want to plan accordingly, I think so. And in my opinion, there's a really big fixture switch around game week 6, game week 7. And that's really what I'm going to be targeting. I think that's a great window where you can reset your team, use that wild card in a strategic way, and just kind of do everything you can to get your team to that point and then kind of reset from there is the best way that I think to approach it. But I'll pass it back over to you, Paul, and kind of hear your thoughts from what Kyle and I've said.
Yeah, no, I agree with you all. This is another thing where it's all team dependent, Like if you've had just a good couple game weeks and then you like the layout of your team over the next 3 to 4 game weeks, I don't think there's a problem with leaving it. I mean, obviously we want to be building and have positive momentum into the season with those green arrows and everything, but I think this also isn't the time for really rash decisions, because I mean, we really just have 2 game weeks of stats, of watching games to really go on. And sometimes, 2 game weeks can lie, They really can. I mean, I know that some of the top performers of the season so far in FPL are from Burnley. Do we think Burnley are going to be that they're going to be doing that for the whole season? They could, but I wouldn't bet on it,
Yes.
Kyle obviously agrees. They made his game week, so.
Hey, I got to rack a clean sheet too. So I'll take that. I mean, at this point, any point, there've been a lot of defensive points so far this season. And I think that's something we might have undersold a little bit is the maybe four at the back should be the template, honestly.
Five at the back.
Five. Oh, okay. Maybe some insight on Paul's upcoming wildcard team. He's going to tell us.
Just kidding. I like goals and assists too much. I would never.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. Well, interesting thoughts there, Paul. I like all of that. Anything else to add on? If you think people should be wildcarding or not?
I don't know. I do think that what we said earlier about how everybody has double chips now. If your team's in a horrible spot, if you have 6 flags in your team, you've had 15 points in the first 2 game weeks, like each week. If things are really bad, wild card. Like, I mean, this isn't a situation where things are going to magically fix themselves either, though. I mean, like, you can make, I mean, you should probably have 2 to 3 transfers at this point, too, right? Just doing the math here, just making sure. You have 2 transfers, you can make changes to your team with that. And you could even do 3. You could take a -4, which I don't love in the beginning of FPL, but if it's something that really puts your team on a better path going forward, I don't mind it. I mean, to me, that's not that big of a deal, especially if it's like even bringing in a player that's going to play for somebody that isn't playing, you know?
No, yeah. And kind of to go off, Paul, what you're saying, and then Luke, I think you mentioned it about kind of that fixture swing in game week 6 or 7 or so. I don't think it kills it. Also, again, very team dependent, depends on what you did last week, but I don't think it kills you to wild card this week. Hypothetically, say you didn't make a transfer after game week 1 and you wild card this week, you could still potentially end up with 5 free transfers going into game week 7, which is, if you're strategic about it, still kind of like a mini wild card. So you could still take advantage of that. And then again, you still have a free hit. And then the free AFCON transfers later in the first half of FPL. So I don't think it kills you, but kind of goes to what Luke said. You got to be strategically aggressive about it. Understand what your plan is and understand that if you do wildcard this game week, once those fixtures flip, like, you can't make rash transfers. You kind of have to hold your team for a little bit so that when those fixtures do flip, you're able to pivot with the change in schedule.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Kyle. Is those free transfers are really powerful. And, you know, we have more chips than we have in the past, but that doesn't mean that the transfers are any less valuable, maybe even more so than they would be otherwise. A perfect example of this, you have to be careful how you're using your transfers. If you brought in Anthony Gordon before Newcastle and Liverpool played, which Anthony he was starting to get really popular on all the social media sites and everything.
And with you too, Luke.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest. I was thinking him before I saw it anywhere else online. So the thing about that, though, hold those free early transfers at this point in the season. I think price rises are great to get if you can catch them and you want to, but you're really running a risk by going early. And it's something as simple as Anthony Gordon getting a red card for his challenge on Van Dijk. So keep that in mind, because that can throw all your plans out of the window immediately. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's part of the game we play, you know. It really is. Part of being an FPL manager is being light on your feet, you know, just making those decisions, being nimble. So, I think another good point for us to touch on before we do our wildcard teams, those kind of highlighting some of the top FPL returners right now through the first 2 game weeks. If we were in any of the podcasts we had before the season, I know personally I never said anything about having 2 Arsenal defenders as the top 2 FPL point performers with Calafiori, who were we even sure he was going to start one of the games, nonetheless 2. He's sitting at the top with 26 total points. and then Timber with 24, and that's in one game week, which is truly
Crazy.
insane, truly insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Semenyo, who has had a remarkable start of the season with 21 points, Ekitike with 20, and then Colin at Burnley with 18. Ekitike is not surprising to me. Colin, I don't know if Kyle read that in as like tea leaves, but like I didn't see that one coming either.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm with you, Paul. I was just very. I wanted to stay away from Arsenal defense to start the season, just with their really tough run of fixtures. I knew I didn't have any Arsenal. I had Rice. I have Rice in my team, but I wanted to stay away from them with their tricky first fixtures. Knew that it was probably going to bite me in game week 2. It did. But still like my thought process, and Arsenal are just really, they're playing well. As much as I hate to say it, defense has looked sharp, and then their attack has looked like it has the past couple of years. So they're looking really well. Obviously, they had injury to Saka this past week. Let's see how that kind of impacts them, but still a few tough game weeks ahead for them. So I'm not kicking myself quite yet.
Yeah. What do you think?
I go ahead, Paul. You were going to say something?
I was asking you what you think.
Yeah, I was of a similar train of thought as Kyle. I really didn't want to go near Arsenal's defense because if you look at their two highest scorers, Timber and Calafiori, both are high risk of rotation week in, week out. And so that kind of makes them hard to go to for FPL. And the fixtures aren't that great, right? I think you start out Manchester United away, turned out to be a really tough fixture. Leeds at home turns out to be a really easy one, but it gets so much harder after this, right? They go Liverpool away, Forest at home, City at home, Newcastle away. And then, the easiest fixture of the season with West Ham at home after that. So it gets a lot easier progressively. Graham Potter won't be there at that point, so we'll see what's happening. But Arsenal, I think Saliba and Gabriel are still probably the best picks because they're more reliable. And you feel like they're the 90-minute men. They're not going to be rotated because at this point, they have another center back. So maybe they could be, but I don't think they will be. So the other highest scoring player that I think we need to talk about is Ekitike with Liverpool. He has been a, very, very impressive player so far. And we knew he's good, right? Like he's very skillful, very good with the ball at his feet, but he's finishing chances now. And that was the big concern is he going to be able to do that? So my question to you all is Ekitike someone that you would consider bringing into your team for a free transfer or comparatively if you're wildcarding? So answer kind of both of those at the same time if you can.
Paul's pointing to me, so I guess he's definitely interesting. And I do like Liverpool's fixtures right after this game week against Arsenal. They've got Burnley, Everton, Crystal Palace after that, and then Chelsea. So it's not a huge run, but I think, like you said, it's something that Liverpool's been missing for a little bit, with Darwin Nunez kind of getting in those positions, but not necessarily finishing his chances. So far, he has, and we kind of all went on the Wirtz train to thinking he was going to be the one that was going to adapt quicker, but doesn't seem that way. I would definitely bring Ekitike in on a free transfer, but I would just say it really depends on what your team looks like. If you already have Salah, it's kind of hard to, I would say it would be hard to bring him in when there are more budget-friendly forwards that arguably have a little bit better of a fixture run. So that's to keep in mind. Also, another Liverpool player that I've been really impressed with to start the season, and I know his name was thrown around a little bit, is Gakpo. I know that he's gotten lucky on a few assists, just kind of like a sideways pass and Ekitike good finish. But sometimes that's all it takes. So you could also bring Gakpo in to complement, and I think Gakpo and Ekitike, that double up would probably be enough to cover Salah at the moment. Haven't really been impressed with him, but classic Salah the past 2 game weeks. Stoppage time, late time, finds a way to get a return, which is devastating. So I would consider bringing him in, but it really depends on what your team is built like. I would say it's really hard to get him and Salah in at the same time. Also, if you're also trying to, I know some people have the Salah Haaland draft. If you have the two of them, I don't think you can get them because it's just too much of a jump, especially with a price rise at this point. But he has been very impressive. Probably the better of the two to start the season at, especially with him and Wirtz being at the same price point to start the season.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I know, Paul.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just quick thought. I wanted to keep this in mind for everyone else there too, because as Kai was talking, I thought about this. So the transfer window does not close for another, I think it's next Tuesday when it closes, I believe. Maybe even after that. It might be the next Tuesday. Keep that in mind if you're playing a wild card now too, because a lot could change between now and then. If Isak goes to Liverpool, everything changes, right? So just keep that in mind. But Paul, over to you. You're going to follow up on Kai was saying.
I was just going to say that, I think Kyle was exactly right that in the beginning of the season, I think all of us were of the mindset that Wirtz was the best hedge for Salah. And it simply wasn't true. It's Ekitike. He is the one scoring goals. He's involved. He's very creative. Like, if they bring in Isak, I'm not sure that I'm really. This is welcome. Like, Isak is easily one of the best strikers in the world. Maybe it's sometimes the best. I'm not sure they need that though. I think they could spend maybe 30, 40 million, get a suitable backup to Ekitike, and then distribute those funds somewhere else, maybe in like a center back or another position. Because I get that Isak would like change the profile even from where Ekitike is. Because who knows? Maybe we're just seeing like remember when Haaland debuted in the what is it, the Community Shield, missed a couple easy chances, and people said City wasted their money. Like, all of this stuff in the beginning of the season is so reactionary. We don't want to overstep anything. But if Ekitike keeps this form, I don't think they need another striker. I really don't. And like, you are right, Luke. I think it's great as an FPL manager to be aware of when those deadlines are and all that stuff. Because if Isak comes in, then yeah, Ekitike's looked awesome, but he probably won't be starting, which is crazy. Or they'll play a 2-striker front and somebody else will come out. But I highly doubt that,
Yeah, I hear you on that. I think personally, I believe Liverpool have to go get Isak. If they want to win everything they want to win this year, if they want to compete to win a Champions League, I don't think Ekitike this season is the striker that will get them there. I think Isak is, whenever he's in form and playing, I think he's the best striker in the world currently. So we'll see what happens, I think. But for FPL, that would also be good for us too, because then that opens up Newcastle bringing in another striker. And someone like Wissa, Strand Larson, they become very interesting if they're at Newcastle, because they've got great wingers. When Anthony Gordon does get back eventually, him and Alenga playing as wingers together is a lot of fun. And that's a lot of pace to get them behind and create chances for their striker. So something to keep in mind there. But Yeah. Other important note that I wanted to bring up too, mentioning the highest scoring players, and then from here we can kind of go into wildcard drafts. Vicario is currently sitting on 18 total points, which technically has him tied for 6th overall in
Was that
points.
his point total from last season too?
Yeah, I think 17 were from the matches he played last season, but no. I think Spurs have got something special here if they can manage to stay healthy. We'll see what happens over the course of the season, but Thomas Frank is looking good so far, starting off his career as a Spur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we knew he was going to just jump right in. I mean, he is somebody that's so disciplined. He has this system that where he's adaptable, where he can match up against other teams really well, and now he's just going to have more weapons to add to, lack of a better term, his arsenal. You know.
Said as a true gunner. Okay, well let's just hop into wildcard teams now. I think maybe you guys let me know if you think differently. Maybe what we do is have each one of us go through our wildcard teams, top to bottom, goalkeepers all the way to strikers, and then let's just discuss that team for a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next one, if that works for everyone. Paul, would you rather go a different way?
That's okay with me. That works for me.
Okay. Sure. Kyle, would you like to go first as the special guest of the podcast?
Sure, why not? So the team that I drafted up, trying to be a little bit more balanced. I think a lot of us have kind of gotten into this situation with kind of Palmer, Aït-Nouri, few flags, especially in Paul's case where you throw Saka in there as well. That your bench gets really stretched and you made some sacrifices and now all of a sudden you got some flags. So trying to think of bench in rotation, getting some people in for that. And then also with the introduction of DEFCON, I think spending a little bit more on your defense is worth it this year. So to get into it, my two goalkeepers would be Sanchez and Dubravka. I know Chelsea haven't looked too. They struggled a little bit in their first game week. They kept the clean sheet last week. They gave up a stunner. So there are a few different assets you could go there, but stuck with Sanchez and then obviously Dubravka, starting goalkeeper at $4 million, can't pass that up. And then for my defense, I have Aina, Tarkowski, Van de Ven, and then I went double Palace with Muniz and then Richards. We'll discuss those a little bit later, why I did the double. But then in the midfield, and I think this is where it got tricky, I went both Anderson and Reinders. I have Ismail Sarr from Palace, and then Salah and Gakpo. And then my front line would be Holland, Wood, and then Mark, not Gay, but Guy, the Sunderland striker, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
4.5.
Spanish.
Yeah. So that's the team I would currently wild card in, and it would also that team would leave a little bit of money in the bank. Ideally, could have gotten some transfers in a little bit earlier to avoid some price rises and maybe upgrade a player or two. But that's currently what I have. So, what are your guys' thoughts? Any questions you have, and I can go through kind of my thought process behind it.
Can I hear your midfielders again, Kyle, real quick?
Yeah. So Anderson from Forest, Reinders, Sarr from Palace, and then Salah and Gakpo.
Okay.
I really like the team a lot, and I think that because of the way that midfield options have emerged over the beginning of the season, that Salah and Holland draft is very viable. And easily achievable at the same time, because you have budget enablers. You can go big at the back. You can get arguably the two best assets in the entire game. And then you still have midfielders who are going to produce results, right? Like Anderson's one of those players. He's always knocking on the door for DEFCON. So almost immediately you're near 4 points with him. If he, gets his minutes, doesn't pick up yellow, and if forced one day keep a clean sheet, he could have a 5-pointer for just being defensive minded, right? So all of those are really good options. I'll let Paul provide his initial thoughts, and then I have a question after that.
Yeah, I do think it's a really balanced team, Kyle. I think it's something I like that you distribute the funds between getting in those big premiums, also having a very viable defense, and then your midfield options are all players that we know are going to play. They're going to start, and they're going to be around either DEFCON points, assists, or goals. So, I mean, honestly, like I said, it really just feels like a really balanced draft for me, and I like it quite a
bit. Thanks, guys.
Kyle's like, I'm wildcarding. He's like, that was all awesome.
Yeah, lock in those transfers right now, actually.
Kyle's like, this guy another
change. Yeah. Now, give me some advice. What would you guys do? Listeners, what would you do if you're wildcarding?
So the question that I had for you, Kyle, was double Crystal Palace defense something was that an essential part of your draft, or did you get to a point where you're building it and then thought, oh, well, I can go double Crystal Palace because of where you're already at?
Yeah, it's not essential. The reason I went to it mainly is their game week 4 and 5 fixtures with Sunderland and West Ham. So I really like that. And then the plan that I would do is with this team is something that I said earlier, is that I would probably stack the transfers, and then around that game week 6 or 7 have about 5 transfers, and I would no longer have a double Palace defense. The one thing that I would say is that if you wanted to go a little bit different, instead of Richards doing LaCroix, and I think that he has the he's hit DEFCON in both games so far, so he kind of looks like the one that's going to hit the DEFCON for them, kind of be that rock at the back. So if you had the funds, you could upgrade to him for the potential to get the DEFCON on top of the clean sheet. But that was really my thought process behind it. And then again, you could either go Sar or Mateta. I think Mateta's probably the better option of the two, given he'll be on pens locked on now that Eze's gone. But for Sar, him only being Benito just dropped this on my lap.
We have a dog appearance.
He wants to play.
Dog on top ends with twins.
Sar being only 6.5, and I think he's going to have to step up now that Eze's gone to be a little bit more creative and attack-minded. That's the reason I went with him over Mateta.
Well, awesome. Yeah. So, real quickly, just so the listeners know, I believe we had a Here We Go by Fabricio for a winger that Crystal Palace was going to get. Yeah, it's Yermi Pino from Villarreal, I believe. Yeah, he's a 30 million. Yeah, he's a 30 million winger that could be entering the equation for Crystal Palace. So we could see him sometime soon in FPL. I don't know anything about him. I'm just throwing the name out there for people so they know it eventually, you know?
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. We'll wait to see what his price point is. And we need to see if he's playing week in, week out too. So, but definitely good for Crystal Palace. They've been, I think Glasner was saying they had 13, 14 first team players available at the weekend. Yeah. And, obviously you bring up academy kids to fill in the gaps, but it's just not the same. So hopefully Palace can bring in a couple more players and make a push for Europe, as they kind of experience Europe for the first time as a club, which is really great for them. So yeah, Kyle, I really like the draft though. I think if I was going to be wildcarding, I would probably wildcard in a very similar team. I say that my wildcard's different that I put together.
I was about to say, let's hear it then.
I really like the idea of Slot and Holland together. I just kind of went a different way with it. So sure. Yep. I'll go ahead. So I have in goal Kelleher and Devraka. I like Brentford's setup, the way they've been looking. A lot of people who are worried about how they're going to manage Thomas Frank and the new manager, but I think he's an internal hire. He's operating the same way Thomas Frank was, the way I see it. So my defenders, I have Virgil van Dijk. I have Tino Livramento with Newcastle. Pedro Porro. Munoz with Crystal Palace. And Gunminson with Leeds.
So you are playing 5 at the back.
No, not necessarily. I would kind of rotate those periodically. In my midfield, I have Jackie Grealish.
I'm so surprised.
I have Dango Ouattara, who just made the move to Brentford, scored his first goal. I have Bruno Fernandes, Kudus with Tottenham, and then Eze. As my strikers, I have Richarlison with Spurs, Gyökeres with Arsenal, and then Holland up top. So that is the team I put together. I think that it's very different than the team I have right now, kind of, on the edges. I think the edge pieces are very different. And I'm approaching the defense a lot differently than I did with my Game Week 1 team, trying to go a little bit more attacking while finding that middle ground for potential DEFCON points as well. So I think the potential star of this draft is Eze. He's going to be thrust into a starting position for Arsenal, and I think he's going to seamlessly fit in to the squad. So expect returns from him pretty early on in his time with the Gunners.
Yeah, I really like that team. Like, I think I was surprised that I really like all the back line you fit in there. You said it was Munoz, Pedro Porro. Who were the other ones?
Virgil van Dijk, Livramento, and then Gunminson with Leeds. He's a 4 mil defender, and he got DEFCON the first game week. So
yeah, I really like that because Leeds at home I think are going to be a completely different team compared to what we saw against Arsenal at the Emirates, and I think they just ran into a buzzsaw, honestly. And then the midfield too. Grealish is somebody that I think has a lot of high potential. Eze has a lot of high potential. And of course, even your front line too. I think it's a really good squad.
Yeah, I think Richarlison's a little iffy, but
he's hot right now.
We'll see how that plays out. Kyle, any thoughts?
No, I also really like it. I really like Livramento, but the only thing I would put in there is I was also thinking about Newcastle defense, but they had just such a big switch from game week 1 to 2. So are they going to be able to keep that kind of chip on their shoulder? Everyone knew that they were going to be going in for blood against Liverpool. Just with the whole Isak transfer saga, they were playing with a chip on their shoulder. So I was really impressed with them, but would be really cautious. Not really cautious, but interested to see if they can keep that intensity up. And then, like you guys said with Eze, also someone that he's at the same price point as Gakpo, unless Gakpo rose in the last day or so. But we're at 7.5. So that is someone that I was looking that I'd probably shift to around that game week 7, kind of going away from Gakpo and maybe getting into Eze once he gets a little bit of time to settle in. But overall, really liked the team. Really liked how balanced it is. And it is interesting that we're all kind of going towards more of a spending more money at the back with this new DEFCON stuff. So
Yeah, and I think DEF CON's one of those too, where it feels like a defender reaching their DEF CON requirements is entirely dependent upon the team that they're playing that week. So that's why it makes it hard. Like I have double force defense, and neither one of them have hit DEF CON, and they averaged hitting it around 60-75% of last season. So it's just we're still trying to figure out how DEF CON's working, I think. And I think maybe this draft I put together is a little more aimed towards the middle ground between achieving DEF CON, but also having those attacking fullbacks. So, yeah, Paul, let's hear that draft.
All right. So for my goalkeepers, I have Sanchez and Dubravka. Kind of the same setup there. And then I have Cucurella, Munoz, Van de Ven, Nico Williams, and Esteve. And honestly, the last one's just kind of a default 4.0. But Burnley, I mean, doesn't seem like a bad place to invest in a 4.0 defender right now. They've looked pretty good to start the season. For the midfield, we have Gakpo, Johnson, Hudson-Odoi, Cunha, and Kudus. So that one I think honestly is kind of a little bit of a more risky midfield, but I think in my opinion I'm saying high upside, but I shoot for the stars, you know. And then for my strikers I have Wood, Holland, and Ekitike, and so those three are basically the reason why my midfield is a little bit light. I can look at that and say that that's a lot lighter than Euro's midfields, but I think having Wood, Holland, and Ekitike are three assets that look like they're already going to consistently return over the season. And that's a good rotation of three people to go in and out of a team where, I mean, if let's just say the week that, like going into game week 3, Ekitike plays Arsenal at home, I probably wouldn't start him then, but I'm also an Arsenal fan too. So I can see my bias, but I don't know, it really provides a good benchmark for whenever you have those really difficult attacking fixtures where you can just go to a second striker, because I honestly would prefer to play two strikers this whole season. So yeah, I don't know. What do we think, gents?
So Paul, question to you. So you said you'd prefer to play two strikers. Do you see that as a 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2? With how you set up your team, I'd say a 3-5-2, right?
3-5-2 most likely, but I think there's some weeks where it could be like a 4-4-2.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more willing to go to a 4-4-2 this year than I have in previous years. And maybe that's just with DEF CON, and maybe it's also with me maybe investing a little bit more in my defense than I typically have. Because I used to be like 4.5 defenders. I want goals and assists. That's all I was going for. So I agree with that. I agree with trying to maybe go with a two striker formation. But I still like a heavy midfield, just with that extra point for goals. If you can get someone in there that's gonna be involved, I just think that's really helpful. And then obviously now some of them are more likely to hit those DEF CON to just get you 2 points here or there. And it also looks like DEF CON is having a really big impact on the bonus point system. If they hit it, it's like they're almost guaranteed to be in bonus points. So also something that I'm looking at, and something that I know we haven't talked about on this podcast yet, but bonus points are a little bit different this year. So still trying to figure out that stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gone are the days where Chris Wood has 2 shots, 2 goals, and gets 3 bonus points. Right. I feel like now you have to do a little bit more to get there. But
I think a big example of that is game week 1, Reinders goal, assist, no bonus points.
Yeah, 1. I think, did he end up on 1? No, it was 0. It was 0.
He's 0 because I think
Holland got 3.
Holland got 3 because he had 2 goals. Lewis ended up on 2 because he got the clean sheet and the assist, and then Nori because he hit defensive contributions and he got the clean sheet. So it was just really weird. Like you said, gone are the days that you get a goal and assist in midfield, you were like guaranteed to be on some sort of bonus point. So that was really an eye opener that it is going to be different this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And even we see it with, the last match of Game Week 2 with Liverpool and Newcastle playing. In the past, if Salah would have gotten an assist, he still probably would have been on 1 bonus point. And this year he doesn't touch it. So, which is good because none of us have him. So we'll take that. But I really like the team, Paul. Remind me, so your midfield was Kudus, Johnson. Johnson's a really interesting pick. Wait, did you know Kudus and Johnson, both Spurs midfielders?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, that just registered in my mind. Huh. Okay, yeah, and then it was Gakpo, and then what were the other two?
Cunha and Hudson-Odoi.
What's Hudson-Odoi priced at?
He is currently at 6.0, and they play West Ham next week. They play Arsenal away, so he's probably not playing that week. And then Burnley, Sunderland. So over 4 fixtures, they have probably 3 of the better teams to play, I would say, just looking at it on surface value. I know Burnley and Sunderland have probably been better than we expected, but still, it's teams that you'd expect forced to put up goals against,
Right. Yeah. Yep. We'll see how they play, though. I mean, I have 2 of them in my team, so they're not going to do good. I don't need to talk about Forrest.
Yeah, they screwed you over last year, and they're screwing you over this year again.
I like Cunha. My question to you guys, though, is how do you think Cunha will be impacted once Sesko starts?
I think Cunha will be a better option once Sesko starting, because
gives him more space.
What Seshko's going to do is he's going to be able to hold up play a little bit, and I think that's going to give Cunha even more space to attack, right? So let's say Seshko draws 2 center backs, plays it off to Cunha. He has 1 man to beat. We know Cunha can beat 1 man, right? He's one of the best, most creative attackers in the Premier League. He excels at situations like that. So I think it'll be good for him in the long run. Maybe that'll spread some of his returns a little bit where he gets an assist instead of a goal. But I think cumulatively over the course of the season, it will be good for him.
Yeah, and I mean, Cunha is somebody too that, Game week 1 against Arsenal, Raya makes a save with his fingertip to keep a goal out. Game week 2 goes off the crossbar, and has been flirting with goals this whole time at United already. I don't know. I think he's one of the most progressive attackers in the Premier League, and he's in a system that's going to benefit him with Mbomo, Bruno, Sesko playing better. It's just a system that I think he's going to eventually thrive in. There's already positive signs, in my opinion.
I agree. I think long term he is probably the best pick out of the 3 midfielders with Bruno and Mbuemo. These first 2 game weeks, Bruno's just been so far back. Hit the DEFCON last week. Could like Luke mentioned earlier, could have been a huge return for him last week. It's still going.
Oh my God! Something crashed through my window.
My favorite was
I hope not.
My favorite was I saw someone on Twitter say, "Oh, how nice of Bruno could have scored a goal, but instead he wanted to get a clearance for his DEFCON points."
I didn't see that.
I think I saw that too. It's perfect because he very stereotypical English center back clearing before an attacker. You just skied that, So it was a proper challenge.
Barclays man.
Not a proper pin though, and we don't get the points unfortunately in our team. But that's really is just how it goes. So FPL is back.
Yeah, maybe what we can do, guys, too, is we can post all 3 of our wild cards on Blue Sky and X and see who the people around Top Ends with Twins have the best wild card teams.
I We can definitely do that.
And whoever gets the most votes, that's the team on wildcard too.
So even better, when we get hundreds of comments and we can crowdsource the perfect wild card, I will do it.
Paul's going to create bots to aggregate people coming to our account so he can get more votes on his wild card team.
No, I would not do that.
Never. I did want to leave you all with a bit of a teaser. I think I will be using one of my chips in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And that is all I will say.
It's going to be your wild card. We're not dumb. You said in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
I don't know. He also mentioned free hitting going into game week 4. So, or, maybe he's just transferring in Chris Wood and triple captaining him against West Ham because that's a very good thing to do right now.
Yeah.
We've got Jared Bowen out here fighting with fans, Graham Potter, clueless what's going on. Your guy Full Crew Paul leading the line.
Yeah. Dude, if I would have got that goal and the Chelsea clean sheet, I'd be fine right now. I wouldn't be spiraling at all. I'd be great.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not where we're at. But yeah, so I think all of our teams look really good. And the listeners will probably get a lot of good stuff out of this. Do you all have any final wild card related thoughts you want to share with the listeners before we kind of wrap on this portion?
Well, I'll go ahead. Kyle. I would say for wild card situations, we want to be in a spot where you're not just trying to fix your team for one game week. You're looking at a consistent run of fixtures where you're planning out exactly week in and week out what your team's going to look out, exactly what the game week's going to be. So yeah, I think with a wild card, you just want to be really careful about who you bring in, who you bring out, all that stuff. So what do you all think?
Oh, I was talking on mute there. I would be careful for a lot of people because I think you could easily wild card into a team going into 3 and then have your previous team do a lot better when game week 3 comes around. So be careful about who you're transferring out and make sure they have good fixtures long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And similar to what we were saying earlier, just be careful. International break coming up. Transfer window is still open. So you don't want to wild card into maybe wild card in Ekitike and then have an Isak show up at Liverpool and his minutes cut by a huge amount. So just be careful there. I know it's tempting to try to catch those price rises and avoid drops early on, but patience, game week 2. So still a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Only 36 more weeks. We're almost there.
Great weeks. I'm so excited.
Yep, so is my wife, Marina.
Can you all believe I'm excited as an Arsenal fan? It doesn't feel real, It's not going to be. We'll see.
Well, with the injuries, I thought it would kind of pull you back down to earth, but it seems like they might not be as bad as expected initially. So That's good.
Yeah, but gents, I think this was a good podcast, and it's probably about time to wrap it up. Any closing thoughts?
My closing thought is I think Verts is maybe I might have been off on him a little bit. We'll see what happens, but I could see him. I could see a goal and assist this coming weekend. I think it's just going to take him a couple of weeks to figure it out. So I would be careful transferring him out, although he's already dropped. So a lot of people are, but I think that could be a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Like I just said, it's early on. Trust your team, trust your gut. Unless your team is spiraling and have so many flags. But like you guys said, still 30 something weeks to go. So it's not the end of the world. Fluctuates a lot your overall rank in your mini league at the moment. So all it takes is one good game week and you're right back in it at this point. So
yep, it's a roller coaster. You just gotta keep going on, you know. So, well, Kyle, thanks for joining us once again. We will let you enjoy your anniversary.
Yes. Yes, it's a good thing I have such a supportive fiance who lets me do this on our anniversary.
She's the best. I will say she is the best. So you're lucky.
Like she's here with us right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like I can feel her in this room right now.
Well, we'll let you have a night. So we will talk to you all soon, Luke. It's great to do it again. And everybody, we will talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.